Well, welcome everyone to KM's Live. Glad you're with us. Today we have our senior pastor, Josh Moody, with us. We also have Megan and also Lily joining us from all the way down in the Dominican Republic. So thanks for joining us, Lily.
Yeah.
We're really excited for KM's Live today. We're going to hear from Pastor Josh and from Lily a little bit. We also got a fun game with some ridiculous scenarios to put you all through. So we're excited about that. But first, we're going to hear from Josh, our senior pastor, and we're really excited that you're here with us, Josh. So thanks for taking the time to join us.
Sure. Thanks, Pastor Dan. Thanks for having me on this KM's Live. I've been looking forward to it, and really glad to be with you guys. And just all that Pastor Dan is doing with you as a ministry is just really exciting to hear. The creativity, this live interaction through video, just wonderful. Dan has said to me that maybe you guys wanted to think a little bit together about how God's at work during this time, and maybe even how you can make the most of this time spiritually or practically. So I'm just going to chat for a few minutes about that. Maybe Pastor Dan, if you want to follow up with some other questions representing things that might be in people's minds, that's fine too. So first of all, how's God at work in these times? Well, let's think about that together. I suppose first of all, when we look at the Bible, we actually see that God is, if anything, at work more in difficult times. The Bible talks about how God uses the weak things of this world, the things that are not. And if you think of the very story of the gospel, it centers on the cross, which of course is a moment of suffering and difficulty. So I go into a question like that with a presupposition, with an idea already in my mind from the Bible, that God delights to use weak things, weak moments. And I think we all sense our weakness, like even this interaction, like how long has this been going on for? It feels like we're stuck in some perpetual washing machine or something like that. Just get me out of here. I'm going mad. And I think we all feel that. And so that we sense some weakness. But in principle, we shouldn't be surprised that God can use these times very much for his glory. So that'd be one sort of first principle. God uses weak times. Another principle would be that God is sovereign. That means that he's the king. So sovereign just means that Jesus is the king, that God is the king. And that's a great message for KM's, King's Messengers. We serve the king. And so this is no surprise to Jesus. He was not caught unawares. He's still ruling. He's good, and he has a purpose. So with those two ideas in mind, let's then think together about how God could be using this time. Here's some just thoughts throw out there for you. First of all, could be that he's preparing you for a time in the future which will be far, far more difficult than this. And you'll remember this moment. When you get through it, you get on the other side, you'll be able to think, actually, God used this for my good. And so when I go through this next time, I'll be prepared to believe God. So it could be a learning experience for the future, preparation for something that's ahead. I think he's also perhaps using this to give you opportunities to grow closer to your family. You may be locked down with brothers or sisters, parents, and you're spending more time at home than you normally would. And so there's an opportunity to build relationships there, to learn from each other, to encourage one another, to reconnect with family, parents, brothers and sisters. So I think that's another thing that God could be doing in your life right now. Again, those principles, this is not a surprise to God. He's sovereign, and he tends to use weak times for good purposes. Perhaps you're dealing with some disappointment, like there are things you're looking forward to have done in May you didn't get to do. And so perhaps another thing you're having to learn and to grow in is how to be content. And I think this is something that we all have to learn increasingly throughout life and at every stage of life. It's sometimes said that if you're not content with what you have now, you won't be content when you get what you want. So if you're not happy with what you have now, if you're longing for something else, you won't be happy when you get there either. So the Apostle Paul says, godliness with contentment is great gain. And the point there is that if we can learn to be content with what God is doing now and to take joy in that, then we'll learn the real secret of happiness, the real secret of joy, which is to trust God that he's doing something good, that he has our best interests at his heart. And that will be a great thing to have learned and experienced. And here's a final thought on what God could be doing in your life right now. Perhaps, and I talked about this on Sunday, I talked about encouraging us all to be active in evangelism, telling other people about Jesus. No doubt you're interacting with all sorts of people, social media, text messages. How about during this season when maybe you have a little bit more time to think and reflect, trying to figure out, to learn the art of putting into your conversation things that will point to Jesus. So for instance, you could, when you share about something fun you've done today with a friend, you could also say, hey, on Sunday, I learned this, or hey, when I think about what we're all going through, I'm just glad that I know that God's in control. And you just throw in little ideas about who God is and how you're trusting God as salt to create an appetite, a thirst. When you eat salt, it makes you thirsty. Create a thirst for the living God. So those are some ways that God could be at work through this time. And I guess, Dan, it sort of blends into the idea of how you can make the most of it. And there's some, obviously telling people about Jesus, one way to make the most of it, and make the most of it in terms of reconnecting with your family and encouraging one another when you're locked down. Another way, though, if we just talked about how to make the most of it, I don't know whether you have a regular time of quiet with God. But if you don't, let me encourage you to start that practice. And it can be very simple. It simply means opening the Bible, reading a verse, say from the book of Philippians, and just before you read it, say, Lord, show me what it is you want to say to me today. And then you get the great adventure of hearing the living God speak to you directly through his word. It's just amazing. And if you can learn the habit of reading the Bible for 5 minutes and praying, spend 5 minutes a day doing that, your life will be radically altered for the better. Wouldn't that be an amazing thing if after this season you came out of it and said, I've learned to have a daily quiet time. I've learned to have a daily devotional time. So you just, Lord, would you speak to me? Here's a verse from the book of Philippians or one of Paul's other letters or something like that. And then at the end of it, you say, Lord, you've told me to rejoice in all circumstances. Help me to rejoice in this circumstance. You pray it in. Pray for your church. Pray for Pastor Dan. Pray for me. Pray for your family. Pray for that friend that you're wanting to witness to. Just simple 5-minute stuff. And it'll be spiritual food for you. And it'll just transform your whole life. I think that would be a wonderful thing to have experienced right now. And I suppose here's the last thing that I think maybe you could have, God could be doing in your life and you can make the most of. When the day comes, when we meet together again at church, when the day comes when KMs meets together again, I hope that what you're going to realize and experience is just the wonder and greatness and glory of being a part of God's people as we're meant to be together, and to just appreciate that more. Sometimes when we don't have something, we realize how amazing it is when we do have it again. And that will be a wonderful thing that God could be doing in your life at that moment, to grow a sense of appreciation for the gathering of God's people on Sunday and KMs and whenever it is that we meet. So those are some thoughts, Pastor Dan. I don't know whether you want to follow up any of those other things or ask me some other questions that you think might be on the minds of.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's really helpful. And actually, I know some of our students have even been asking a little bit about, is there anything we should be reading in the Bible? And so I really appreciate your really practical advice of read a verse of Philippians and just see what God might be teaching. And another thing students have been asking is, what should we be praying about? And so I really appreciate your advice. Pray for your neighbors, pray for your friends, pray for your pastors, pray for others in the church. It's really simple and practical, but very, very important and really, really deep. I'm wondering if maybe you could also talk a little bit about what are some ways that students, even in junior high, could stay engaged and involved with church, even though they can't come to CAMs, even though they can't come into the sanctuary for a service, but what are some ways that they can still stay involved in this gathering of believers?
Yeah, we hope to move towards a responsible reopening, as the Lord leads, as we are able to do. And we'll be talking about that even a little bit tonight at the Elder Council. I've got another meeting coming up for that, and we'll be talking more about how that can happen. But like you say, Pastor Dan, in the meantime, how can we stay engaged? And I think it's through this kind of experience we're having right now. Just the amazing thing of virtual technology. We can connect to each other. We can feel connected. You've got someone from another country who's going to be here in a moment. There was a pandemic that hit the world in 1918, 1919. I've done some reading on that. The churches just shut down for months on end. I mean, they didn't meet. They just didn't meet. There was nothing they could do. There was not, there was no live video stream in 1918. So I think make the most of these virtual technologies. Reach out by text messages or social media stuff. Connect using modern technology. Aware all the time that it's only a supplement to the intended gathering, that it's not a replacement for the intended gathering. In a way, the more we do this, on the one hand, the more we appreciate it, and the more we realize that it's not the point. We really do need to gather it as well. We want to. We see that. So I think just make the most of the technology that allows us to connect that Pastor Dan's providing with his team, and text message your friends. Just say, how you doing? I mean, I do that occasionally. People just, how you doing? ? And it just makes people realize that you remember them, that you connected, or anything I can be praying for? ? It doesn't have to be lengthy and like a thesis, really long, complicated, but just a little text message connects. Can be a great way to do it too.
Yeah, that's helpful. And even those simple ways of reaching out can make a big difference, both for you and especially for someone else. So yeah, I appreciate that as well. Well, I know you need to run, but I do have one more request. I've heard that despite your normal British accent, you actually do a really good American accent. Could you give us a little taste of that?
I do a terrible American accent. I was on a radio show this morning, interviewed about something for in Cleveland. A radio program wanted to interview me, so I was doing that this morning. And at the end of it, the guy decided to, tease me by doing an English accent, and his English accent was terrible. And at one moment, he even said "toodle pip," and he said, "Is that what you guys say?" And I said, "Well, in about 1920 we did, but not since then." So I was nervous about doing. He asked me to do an American accent, and I refused because I thought, I'm not going to do that on drive time Cleveland radio. I'll just offend every American within 1,000 miles. But given it's KMers, I'll do it for you guys. So I can do a little bit of a Southern thing if you like. How about?
That's perfect.
How about this? So then, y'all, so good to be with you. Just get some good fried chicken.
There you go. I feel like I'm in the South. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Josh. Really grateful for you, for everything you do for this church, for everything that you share with us on a weekly basis from the pulpit. Thank you for leading our church and pointing us constantly back to the gospel. We're grateful for you.
Thank you. Well, I'm grateful for you, Pastor Dan. Grateful for you, KMers. Okay, I gotta sign off.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Well, that's always exciting to hear Pastor Moody give a nice Southern accent. So I hope you appreciated that. And what great advice too, just to keep praying for those who are in leadership of our church. So pray for Pastor Josh and And I hope you also are hearing him preach regularly on Sunday mornings on the live stream. It's great to be able to do that. Well, the next thing we have up is a very special edition of one of my favorite games as of this week. It is called If I Had To. So, ladies, go ahead and take this one over.
Okay, Lily, ready for our game?
Yeah.
Okay, take it away, Dan. Okay, so it's a really tough question facing us all. What would you rather do? Eat only mustard sandwiches for every meal for the next year, or keep all of your nail clippings in a jar by your bed for the next year? What would you do, Lily?
Oh, I definitely would do the second option. I don't think I would want to eat a mustard sandwich every day for the next year.
I know. I mean, I feel like that jar of nail clippings, you could just hide that under something else, right?
Yeah, you could ignore it.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, we're in agreement on that one. Definitely nail clippings. You can hide the jar, Danica. Yeah, we've kind of decided we would just do a decorative cover over the jar. And, we're not interested in mustard sandwiches. It doesn't matter if it's, a really delicious, whole grain mustard on great bread. We're just not interested. Okay. Ew, Mr. McKinney. That's so scary. So scary, but not surprising from Mr. McKinney. Okay, Lily, do you want to read this one?
Sure. Would you rather go without internet for the foreseeable future, or use internet but YouTube, Prime Video, Netflix, and Disney Plus no longer exist?
What would you do, Lily?
I feel like I would go with the first option because maybe you can recreate it. I don't know.
Build your own internet. Who needs
Yeah.
what's publicly available? I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty reliant on the internet to do my job and everything else. So I feel like I think I'd have to go with the second one, and maybe I'd just be watching a lot of movies, or I don't know, entertaining myself in some other way, even though that's unimaginable. Okay, cool. Next one. Okay, would you rather share the same toothbrush with your entire family? Oh my gosh, yuck, that's my nightmare. Or share the same bed with your entire family?
Oh.
Okay. What do you think, Lily?
Well, it depends. Can you boil the toothbrush every time?
Wow. That's very smart, Lily. That's a great idea.
Okay, then I'd probably do that one.
Okay, so Lily's going to share the same toothbrush. I think the boiling is a good idea, but I just really have a problem. The idea of shared toothbrushes, it's just very, very personal to me. So
neither one is a good option.
I know. Let's hope that both of these things would just be for one day or one night, right? So maybe I'd do the share the bed. But okay, next one. Lily, do you want to read that one?
Okay, would you rather Christmas and birthday gifts will just be hand sanitizer and canned soup, or Christmas and birthdays will no longer be celebrated with gifts? Oh.
Okay,
I would do the second option.
Second one? You really turn up your nose at hand sanitizer and canned soup?
Well, you can celebrate it in other ways.
That's true.
You can still have fun if you don't get gifts. You could get, I don't know.
Okay, I would actually take number 1 because I was shopping for hand sanitizer yesterday and it's really hard to find. So I would be pretty happy if someone gave me some of that. And then canned soup, you know, I feel like we could figure out a use for that. So I think I would take the hand sanitizer and canned soup. Do we have any other scenarios? Ooh, yes. Okay, Lily, take this one away.
Would you rather your mom cuts your hair for the next year, any style she wants, or your dad cuts your hair for the next year, any style he wants? I think I would let my mom do it. She can probably handle my hair. She'd probably just give me a trim.
Exactly. Okay, the thing is, I feel like this question, we would, probably different genders would answer this differently. Like, I'm guessing guys would probably want their dads to cut their hair, and maybe girls would want their moms. I would definitely choose my mom. And you know what? We might get to that point too, Okay, very fun to think through those hypotheticals.
Yeah, I would say none of those scenarios are good. So let's hope none of those happen. But for the record, I would take the canned soup and hand sanitizer one, mostly for the canned soup because I'm hungry right now. So at least it's something.
Jill Tweeten said that she would want her dad to cut her hair with her mom's style.
There we go.
Like a true mom. Thanks, Jill.
Well, let's hope none of these things ever happen. But what is happening coming up is, Megan, what do we have?
Yes. Okay. Next Wednesday, we are not having KM's Live. As much as we know this is the highlight of your week and something you look forward to. Next week, we're going to have something different and something very exciting, which is our KM's talent show. It's going to be great. It's going to be at 6:45, so our normal time for KM's Live. We will send you a Zoom link this week for you to access it. And the thing that's going to make it great is what you submit. So we want 60-second clips of your talent submitted to the email address on the screen, and make these talents. They can just be anything that you want to share. We're going to have prize winners for 5 different categories, which includes artistic, musical, athletic, quirky, and most biblical talents. So really, the sky's the limit for creativity here.
And the more videos we get, the better. Adult leaders are going to be submitting videos. I'm going to do something. I don't know quite what it is yet, but it will be ridiculous. And I'm hoping to win a prize for quirkiest. We'll see if I make it. But it'll be a lot of fun. We'll be able to vote on different videos for different categories. And there will, as Megan said, be prizes. So hope you submit a video. The more, the better. It's going to be a ton of fun. So please submit your videos to this email address, and we're going to be sending out a Zoom invite soon.
Prizes will be good, and also Erica and Mr. Tweeten are co-hosting. So it's going to be really, really fun, and I want to see amazing submissions. I cannot wait.
Yes, it's going to be great. Well, for the end of our show, though, we do have an international guest. So go ahead and take it away.
So you've already met Lily in our broadcast, but Lily was a part of College Church and a part of KM's for the 3 years that she lived in Wheaton. And then she moved to the Dominican Republic on January 1st. And since then, she's rejoined our small group during quarantine because we've been having it on Zoom. So we thought it would be a great chance to touch base with Lily and learn more about her. So Lily, let's start off. What are some of the biggest differences between living in the DR versus Wheaton?
Well, for me, the most obvious difference is probably having to learn a new language. or rely on someone else to like translate for me to be able to communicate with other people and understand like the most basic things. In the end, that was never really like an issue because like everyone speaks English, so it's really easy. But another difference is the loud culture. In the DR, it's completely normal to hear like loud motorcycles going around, and they will be really, really loud. Or there are even like people driving by in Jeeps that have like piles of speakers going all at once in the back, and it gets very noisy. But that's actually one of the positive effects of quarantine is that it's a lot quieter here, so that's really nice.
Have you ever been woken up by the noise outside?
I actually don't think I have. I sleep like a log.
I love it. Cool. And when you look back on the past couple months, what's been one of the hardest things about living through COVID-19? And then what's been unexpectedly good?
Well, I would say one of the hardest things about quarantine so far has been not getting to go out and see people, my friends, like face to face, and not having enough to do, like to keep active inside. I am really thankful though for my family because it's been really nice to spend time with each other and get to play games together.
Awesome. Very cool.
Something that's been really exciting is that we finally got 2 puppies and they are adorable. This is Lulu. She's my puppy.
Oh my goodness. Look at Lulu.
She's very sleepy right now, but she's 3 months old and I love her so much. She's literally the best. She has the best personality and everything.
She's so content in your arms, Lily. Wow. Match made in heaven. So cute. I love it. And Lily, is there a Bible verse that has been encouraging you recently? And if so, what is it and how has it been encouraging you?
Yeah, a verse that has been standing out to me recently is Colossians 3:2, which says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." I feel like it is so easy to get distracted with things from this earth rather than focusing on the things from above, like sharing my faith with non-Christian friends and being filled with the Holy Spirit. This virus is in God's control and it won't last forever. But what does last forever is God's love for us and his kingdom. And he can use anyone, like even us, to draw others to himself.
Yeah, that's a really good word. Thank you, Lily. That's a big encouragement.
Yeah, well, Lily, thanks so much for sharing with us. And I am jealous of your puppy, for the record. But thanks so much for joining us. And everyone who's been watching, thanks so much for joining us for Cam's Live. Next week we have the end of the year talent show and extravaganza.
Woo!
So make your videos, send them in, and get ready to have a lot of fun watching all your leaders do things as well. There was a great suggestion from Abby that I eat as many donuts as possible in 60 seconds. That very well might be what I do. I have no idea how many that might be, but it's probably more than I should. But that probably means I'll do it. So we look forward to seeing you next week, and have a great time in small groups. See you guys.
Bye.